This is the Investor Connect podcast program. I'm Hall T. Martin. I'm the host of the show in which we interview angel investors, venture capital, family offices, private equity, and many other investors for early stage and growth companies. I hope you enjoy this episode. Investor Connect is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to the education of investors and startups for fundraising. Please consider donating $100 to the program to help others in their investor and entrepreneur journey. You can find the donate button on the investorconnect.org website. Well, hello, this is Hall Martin with Investor Connect. Today I'm here with Kristina Chapple, Director of 11 Tribe Ventures. 11 Tribes Ventures is an early-stage venture fund that proactively invests in the well-being of entrepreneurs. The company provides innovative, founder-focused venture capital investment to early-stage technology companies in non-traditional technology hubs across the country. Kristina, thank you for joining us.
Paul, it is so great to be here. Thank you for having me.
So tell us more about your background before joining 11 Tribe Ventures.
Yes, so 11 Tribes is based in Chicago, and I drove up here 6 months ago from the South without a friend or family member in sight because I was so compelled by the thesis of what we're building here. I have a background in city planning and entrepreneurship. Back home in Atlanta, I launched 2 community engagement initiatives, one at my school and one in the greater Atlanta community, which both scaled up and brought me to UNC Chapel Hill on scholarship with a program called Moorhead Kane, which punted me into a number of different environments, giving me experience in teaching and consulting. One of my summer internships, I ended up at a private equity firm, and that was my first experience into the world of finance, and loved that, but wanted to move earlier stage. And so I found 11 Tribes. I really appreciated our thesis and really how we were able to integrate our values with our work. And that's what made me decide to move to Chicago to join full-time as employee number 1 to the managing partner, Mark Phillips.
Great. So what excites you right now?
Something that I found very exciting, Paul, is just the rise of remote and hybrid work. We're finding entrepreneurs who are tucked away in what we call competitive geographies. So non-traditional tech hubs, so not San Francisco or New York, more like Chattanooga and Cincinnati and Indianapolis, who are building great businesses. And also given just our current macroeconomic environment here in February of 2023, we're seeing tons of big tech layoffs. So I think that some great companies are going to be formed in these days. And I'm also just personally excited to be placed here in Chicago. There are several funds here who are working to activate more early stage capital and more LPs from the women and wealthy individuals in the area who have not had exposure to venture capital as an asset class before. So I'm excited to be investing in this time.
Great. Well, you see a lot of startups and a lot of investors out there. What's your advice for people investing in early stage venture funds? What do you tell them to do before they write that check?
Yes, for our LPs, I think the first, that's top of mind, is just finding a firm that you are aligned with from a values perspective. And if you're able to find a team deploying capital in a way that you think are advancing good outside of just financial returns, I think that is really special, especially if you are, writing checks into early stage funds, possibly for the first time. And I also would give advice of finding teams who will be transparent with you. I know here at 11 Tribes, we are committed to full transparency with our LPs. And so what that looks like is we have quarterly LP reports and quarterly calls with our LPs to give them status updates on each of the companies in our portfolio and sort of where our fund is presently and where we're going.
Well, great. So what's your advice for people running venture funds? What do you tell them to do before they launch that new fund?
Well, you know what they say, venture is fully a relationships business. So I think it's important to just get your boots on the ground, especially in those underfinanced geographies, as we see more and more people spread out from SF in New York and Boston. And so if people are able to establish relationships with operators in those areas or other early stage investors, seeing that's how you're going to get access to the best deals and ultimately add the most value to founders as well. So the other piece of advice I would give is founders are looking for more than just financial capital these days. So as an emerging fund, we had to be really clear of what's our value add and our niche alongside of the check that we're writing, and how can we get access to the best cap tables and the best co-investors.
Great. Well, tell us more about that. How do you see the industry evolving from here with that in mind?
I mean, I think one of the large things I'm seeing is just who are the players in the industry. And in Chicago, at least, I'm seeing more and more access to that. So who are we investing in? I mean, our founders look different. And for 11 Tribes, 38% of our portfolio from Fund 1 has a female in the founding team. And 40% of our Fund 1 portfolio are also from minority backgrounds. And so who is getting the checks written, and then who are the LPs in these funds? I think that I'm seeing evolution there. And I mean, for Fund 2 at 11 Tribes, we're doing a parallel fund structure that allows more people to participate by giving flexibility on minimums too. So we're seeing more and more creative ways for funds to establish themselves and engage more people who've maybe not had exposure to the asset class before.
Great. And what do you think is the biggest change we're going to see in the VC fund world in the next few years?
I think what we have seen is that there's more and more competition with just the number of emerging funds and smaller players raising first-time funds or second funds. And I think that raises the bar and elevates the industry as a whole. So that's something that's very exciting to me. And I also think that that is actually breeding more collaboration in the industry. I know we have gotten sharper on who do we want to invest alongside, and that's going to, what we believe, increase the pie for everyone and venture as a whole too.
Great. Well, so let's talk about your investment thesis. What exactly is it, and how did you arrive at it?
Yeah, we do take a thesis-driven approach here at 11 Tribes, and we have three main components to that, one of which I've spoken to, which is we target competitive geographies. And so we are a Midwest-based fund. We lean into that, and we have a strong Midwest presence in our Fund 1 portfolio. But we also are looking for the best builders in Atlanta, Georgia, in Columbia, South Carolina, in Texas. And so that's one angle. The next is that we are a seed stage fund. So we are some of the first checks in, typically following on with a lead investor to close that round. And the other piece that really sets us apart, and the reason why I came to join the firm, is just the amount of support that we assemble around our founding teams. Every check that we write, we have made a commitment to invest 2% on top of that check directly to the founding teams for them to invest in their well-being and development. And so usually that looks like we're writing $250K to $300K checks, which means those founders are getting $5,000 to $6,000 in a bank account for them to use either on an executive coach geared specifically for founders or for a therapist. I know my managing partner, Mark, has sat across the table from countless founders who have said, if only you were here 5 years ago when I was raising my round, then maybe I would still be married or I would still have a relationship with my children. And so we think we want to help our founders build great businesses that have the potential to affect cultures and change, but not at the expense of the things that are most important in their lives. And the other piece of what we surround our founding teams with is what we call our venture partner platform. And so we have identified industry experts and really operators who have started and exited companies scattered all around the country. I mean, most of our venture partners are located in these competitive geographies, and they come on to be a mentor and coach to that founder, getting in the trench with them, and we compensate them with GP carry here at 11 Tribes. So we are trying to rethink the traditional business model of venture and how we allocate resources to allocate more around our founders that will increase the pie for all people touching.
Great. Well, what startups in your portfolio are you most excited about?
Mm. Now, two come to mind, Hall. The first is a Chicago-based company called QWise AI, and they are a consumer healthcare company. So QWise is Fitbit for your brain, basically. Through a 5-year NIH-funded grant, the QWise team built an AI platform that tracks brain function objectively and precisely. So the QWise system uses keystrokes on your smartphone to measure things like processing speed, attention, impulse control, and mood stability. And their patent-protected system is currently live on the App Store. I'd encourage everyone to go download it and give it a try. The team is focused on its B2B2C growth strategy in 23. They're targeting hospital systems, clinics, and outpatient entities that will use the platform to help track patient health and adherence post-hospitalization. And the other company in our portfolio that we are really excited about is a Cincinnati-based company called Get Together. They play in the future of workspace. And Get Together is building the fastest, easiest way to schedule meetings by embedding AI directly into any messaging platform. So think text, Slack, Teams, and even email. And fundamentally, Get Together believes that any human connection today starts with a message, and they want to be the platform that makes connecting frictionless. They just received follow-on capital from Drive Capital, which is one of the largest funds in the Midwest. And they just closed a patent application for their cross-channel chat AI scheduling feature, making Get Together the only centralized scheduling AI that can be used across multiple communication channels. So we're very excited for both of those teams.
Those sound like great startups. Congratulations on those. So what do you think are the main challenges early stage venture funds face today?
Venture is an industry where there can be a lot of hype and a lot of noise. And so I think for funds who maybe have less access to good deal flow, it can be difficult to remain disciplined and cut through that noise. I mean, we see ChatGPT being on every news article today, and any startup that is now touching AI or generative AI, it's easy for those valuations to become inflated. Here at 11 Tribes, we really do remain disciplined. Our average valuation cap in our Fund 1 portfolio is just under $8 million. We made the bulk of our investments in 2021 and early 22. So that was a time when valuations were very inflated and we were able to stay anchored. So I think that is a challenge for an early stage fund. And then also just making sure that you have a comprehensive due diligence process. I know here we have quite a hefty process. I run point on that. And we're not just going with even what our co-investors have to say, but we have a lot of framework on how we vet companies, and not even just the financial side or industry trends, but we also administer personality assessments to our founders with the Colby Index and StrengthsFinder to ensure that our founding teams are the best people to build and are equipped well with teammates with complementary skill sets that allow them to, what we say, ride a lion and live, which is basically what our founders are doing here.
Well, great. Well, you see a lot of new businesses and business models and technologies out there. If you could start a business tomorrow, what would that business be?
I love this question, Hall. I toyed around with starting a Pokemon Go for intentional acts of kindness. I was going to call it the Love Challenge. And, I think for my generation, Gen Z, it's easy to kind of live for these mountaintop moments in life and discount the beauty amidst our mundane daily rhythms. I think even with possibly a downside of remote work is just people are not being as neighborly or tethered in communities. And so I think if we are able to shift our perspective and build habits to be on the lookout for other people and make small differences or build a small amount of margin into our day to more meaningfully connect with the people around us, that will have a massive impact on communities as a whole and our own lives as individuals.
Well, great. Well, in the last few minutes that we have here today, what else should we cover that we haven't?
Language that we use here at 11 Tribes is we want to help our founders build without burnout. And I know for entrepreneurs particularly, this is a population of people who really deal with mental health issues. So I think making sure that you are a healthy founder, which will then hopefully lead to a healthy company and healthy employees and healthy returns for LPs. It's just really important to not compromise on those most important things in life by being head down, trying to make something from nothing. So, and then also I think it's important to note that venture as an asset class performs particularly well in recessions. I know Cambridge Associates has some really strong data out there that I'd encourage everybody listening to this podcast to go and check out. But even for a median venture fund, median performance is 2.4x. So you're doubling your money and then some. 11 Tribes we're setting out to be a top decile fund. So hopefully we are returning much more than 2.4. But I think typically people see venture as this boom or bust area, when in reality, those numbers actually are quite different. So doing research is key.
All right. So how best for listeners to get back in touch with you?
Listeners can find me on LinkedIn and find 11 Tribes on LinkedIn and Twitter. It's the best way.
Great. We'll put that in the show notes. I want to thank you for joining us today and hope to have you back for a follow-up soon.
Thanks all. Pleasure to be here.
Investor Connect helps investors interested in startup funding. In this podcast series, experienced investors share their experience and advice. You can learn more at investorconnect.org. Paul T. Martin is the director of Investor Connect, which is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to the education of investors for early-stage funding. All opinions expressed by Hall and podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinion of Investor Connect. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon as a basis for investment decisions.